guys, for this episode I'm going to teach you how to do aired out bow ties. This is the first episode of a 4-part series called Pro Riding Tips. So these tips are for guys that have kind of surpassed the advanced level of riding and are moving on to a pro level. It's the end of March and we've been watching weather and snow tells, and it looks like we got a decent amount of fresh the last couple days. So we should have good conditions to demonstrate these maneuvers. Let's head up and see what we find. We're just starting to get into the zone, and I'm starting to look for a good practice hill. A hill like this would work pretty good with these pillows because that's going to provide the pop during the bow tie. This one's kind of tracked out, so I'm going to wait until I find a little bit fresher hillside. But something kind of like this with a clean run out is the ideal practice hill for this maneuver. In my opinion, the perfect practice hill for aired out bow ties is a slope with pillows mixed into it, with a clean run out, with a fair amount of slope angle. You need that slope angle relatively steep to be able to pop the sled out of the snow, and you want the clean run out in case you lose your sled, and you want pillows like this to slowly work up to really airing it out, almost like a re-entry. So like I said, this hill would work pretty good. The pillows are a little close together, so it's hard to get a clean in run. But yeah, similar to this, a little bit smaller slope would be nice. So if you do lose your sled, it's not going down into the trees. So it just, rolls 10 feet and then stops. After riding around a bit, found another good practice hill. This one's shaded and has some fresh snow blown into it, so it should be plenty soft to have some harder panel landings. We have pillows to really air out big bow ties, and then a steeper slope over there to kind of show the progression of like a baby aired out bow tie and working up to the big ones. So an aired out bow tie isn't a very functional maneuver. Like, you're not going to learn this and then be able to get to the top of the mountain easier, but you still build a lot of sled control. They look really cool, and they're a lot of fun to do. The only thing I would say is if you ride a short track a lot, learning to do aired out bow ties is going to help you a lot when you're side hilling steep trees and the sled flips over backwards. You're going to have a tool in your tool bag to flip it around and land on the panel and ride out of it instead of getting mouse trapped or losing your sled down the hill. So aired out bow ties can be done on any length sled, but they're definitely easier on shorter sleds. I'm doing them today on a 146. I recommend learning them on either a 146 or a 155. The longer the track is, the more momentum you have to carry into it, and the more of a lip you're going to need to pop the sled out of the snowpack. When you do bow ties on a 146 and you're doing them on steep hills, they just start kind of popping out of the snowpack, especially with short tunnels, and they just naturally become aired out because there's so little track and it's spinning so fast it just kicks out from under you. So I guess keep that in mind. Like, a lot of guys learn them accidentally just by doing them on a short sled. The purpose of this isn't to tell you that you need a short sled to do them. Just trying to explain the differences between longer sleds and shorter sleds. All right, so for doing this maneuver, I highly recommend being dialed on obviously regular bow ties, hop overs, and also re-entries. I would say turn downs and re-entries are a good thing to practice a bunch before the bow tie, because it's a similar maneuver where the sled's kind of arcing over the top of you, but they're a lot easier to do than an aired out bow tie. I'm going to teach this maneuver like I do during my clinics. There's a good pillow right up there under that cliff that I will use to demonstrate the maneuver, and then I'll walk through my trench and break it down step by step. One thing to note is the speed I carry into it. Obviously, the softer the snow, the more speed you're going to need, and being on a shorter track, I'm going to need to carry more momentum into it as well, because it's going to want to trench out sooner. So on this one, I might be able to get it first hit, or I might have to turn out once or twice and build just a little bit of a runway to make sure I get the momentum I need. Just like any other maneuver, you're going to want a nice clean in run. You don't want to be fighting the sled on the in run, because it's just going to toss you around and you're not going to be able to focus on the actual maneuver. You definitely need momentum in. On a regular bow tie, you don't really need very much momentum. You just kind of hammer down on the throttle and the front end comes up and it chews around. On an aired out bow tie, you have to get the sled compressed into a vertical wall or something steep, get the shocks compressed, and then get that rebound popping you off it to air it out. So speed is very important. So I came in hot, started turning the sled uphill just like a regular bow tie. One important part of the aired out bow tie is trying to get your front ski to kind of slap the snowpack a little bit here and compress. If you can compress your uphill ski shock, that is going to help get the front end to pop. So as this uphill ski shock compresses, your rear shocks are also going to compress. Your front shock's going to rebound. It's going to pop your front up, and then your rear shocks will rebound as you hit kind of the climax of the slope angle here. You don't want very much ski lift until you're ready to compress that shock. And then as soon as that shock compresses, then you're going to start getting your ski lift. As long as your ski lift is after this corner is initiated, you can also start turning your head and dropping your shoulder. You almost want to feel like the sled is arcing out over the top of you. A lot of times when guys are learning bow ties, their ass end kicks out from under them, and it's more like almost just like losing control in a side hill. When you work on aired out bow ties, what you really want to do is get the sled to arc over the top of you and tuck underneath of it. Getting the preload off the lip is really important for that, and getting just the right amount of rotation around before the sled goes airborne is also really important. If you don't have enough rotation, the sled's going to flip over backwards and you're at risk of getting mouse trapped. And then if you have too much rotation, you're basically going to be facing this direction. The ass end will kick out from under you and the sled's going to kind of flip out on top of you. The goal is to get the sled popped into the air, rotate over the top of you, and land smoothly on the panel like I did with mine here. So you notice some of these bow ties, I'm using the edge of the pillow, and then some of them I hit head on like that one. If you hit a pillow head on like that, you need a lot more speed because the back end will sometimes drop into that hollow spot. So as you're learning these, it might be easier to go for the corner of the pillow. Just something to keep in mind. There's a big drop down to rocks, and part of the reason why this one kicked so far back downhill was because of that ass end dropping down towards the rocks. If I would have did a left-hand bow tie, I could have used this corner here, and it would have made the bow tie a little bit easier and a little less dramatic. That sums up how to do an aired out bow tie. Hopefully you guys found this helpful, and hopefully it takes your bow ties to the next level. For the rest of the day, I'm going to keep my eyes out for a really big aired out bow tie hit. Everything has to line up perfect for those. So what I'm looking for is a nice smooth ramp off a pillow and then transferring over to another slope a little distance away, something kind of like that, ramp here, landing here. So if I can find that, I'll do that today so you can see like what this looks like when it's pushed to the absolute highest level. And if I don't find that hit, we'll just overlay one that I've done previously. Thanks for watching this episode. Be sure to tune into the next one. The next pro tip riding episode is how to do side hill draws.